Okay, so I've been going on long walks for a little while now. But what's next? I mean, sure, writing about it in my newsletter, it's fun and all, but what's the next logical step? What is the next thing flowing out of this? I do have an idea, but it's not a very original one. But does that matter? Let's hit the streets. Let me start by telling you where we are walking today. I left the central train station of Amsterdam through the rear exit, which immediately brings you to the edge of the water. The plan is to follow that water for a little bit and then maneuver ourselves through some lesser visited neighborhoods until we reach the train station of Sloterdijk. That's not necessarily a photogenic area, but it's one I haven't visited that often, so my hope is that it will spark my creativity. I am just getting warmed up right now, firing off the first shots that aren't super interesting, but you know, greatness takes time and I'm certainly taking mine, which is a joke about me having not reached greatness yet. I'm hilarious. Well then, to get the juices really flowing, I try my hand at a reflection photo in this dirty puddle on the ground. It's not that bad of a shot, but it's also not a very good one. Then another puddle. You can see the reflection on the ground through the POV camera, but the 50mm on the APS-C sensor that's inside the X-Pro3 doesn't provide me with a sufficient field of view. It's way too narrow, so I cannot get the shot. Luckily, I get saved by this boat passing by. You know, sometimes when your finger is on that shutter button, you just have to press it. Even when the results are mediocre. You know, there was a time where all I did was take reflection photos in puddles and people actually started to refer to me as the reflection photo guy. And that was the moment I knew I had to switch it up. So now I take black and white street photos of mundane scenes and nobody refers to me at all anymore. I'm not sure if that's an improvement, but I digress. It's at this moment where the 50mm can take its shine, as it gives me enough reach to create a clean composition. All I have to do is wait for the right subject to pass in front of it. I guess this scooter will have to do for now. This is an interesting scene because there's a few things I can do here. I start by capturing the obvious shot of the buildings across the water, but the water is choppy, so the reflection isn't clearly visible. I then turn around and try to shoot this pointy building that sorta reminds me of the poor man's Flatiron building. I had to shuffle around a little to get a proper angle, as you do when you're out on the streets. And I end up with this mediocre shot. I then turn my attention back to the buildings across the water and give it another try. I like the layers in this shot and I think it's better than the previous photo I've taken of this scene. After that, I take a little detour onto the pier, and my first photo is, dare I say it, pretty solid. I mean, look at those poles lined up, that cyclist, that depth. This is my favorite so far. This might be a little confusing, but I'm actually aiming at the right side of the frame here. And if this isn't an abstract masterpiece, then I don't know what is. I take the obligatory photo of the funny looking building and I quickly make my way around the water. Again, I run into trouble with the narrow field of view of the 50mm, so I back up as much as I can. Unfortunately, this is all I could fit. We then move into an area that's still under development. Amsterdam has been here for hundreds of years and apparently it's still not finished. But the truth is, I'm actually happy it isn't, because to me, there's always something interesting about new things being built. Before they started building here, this area was probably the same for a long period of time. And after they finish everything, it will be the same for another long period of time. It's just this brief window of a few months or sometimes years where you can witness the evolution of the area that will never look the same again. After that, it will just be another neighborhood. And I know I'm probably seeking too much behind it, but this is why I always point my camera at construction sites. You soon forget about how things looked before, and I think it's fun to have these visual reminders. As I'm nearing the end of my walk, just minding my business, I have to back up for a little. I'm not sure what decision was made here, but it looks like somebody wanted to get rid of their pot plant but then couldn't bear the thought of it laying in the trash. It's visual poetry, if you ask me. I then shoot my second and third favorite photos of the day. That's the first one. The swirly shapes of the streetlights and the curvature of the road are very pleasing to my eyes. And the second one. I like the layers and that quirky looking clock. All that's left now is to make my way through this little park, shoot 2 photos of these tunnels. This is the first one. Give it a second so I can turn around, and that's the second one. And I guess that ends today's walk. Thanks for watching.